Well, salutations, fellow vidiots. Welcome back to yet another episode of that full moon madness, baby. So I realized in our recent pickup segment when I did the lineup reveal, I talked about how I was going to stagger this wave of reviews evenly between urban classic stuff and early 90s full moon shit. Upon further review, I decided to say fuck that and just bang out the whole trio of urban classic movies first. And the reasoning behind this is simple. We've only covered one proto-full moon flick so far, and that's Tourist Trap, so we've kind of been neglecting that end of the library. That's going to change right now in a big fucking way. The rest of the lineup is going to stay the same, so everything that was announced is still getting reviewed. I'm just going to split it in half evenly between the two instead of staggering it back and forth. So hopefully that's not a problem for you guys. Hopefully you'll still get some good recommendations out of this wave. I'm pretty sure I'm going to have a fucking good time doing it. So overall it's going to work out the same as it would have otherwise. We're just not going to make the sequence more convoluted than it needs to be. And we're going to give attention to a part of their library, like I said, that we've kind of neglected a little bit. I've ordered a lot of that stuff. We've just been covering a lot of the more obvious shit, I guess, and not diving into the, classic proto-full moon library as much as we should. Our first movie to that end is going to be Slave Girls from Beyond Infinity. This is not one that I have childhood exposure to, and it's a bummer. I just missed it. Apparently it was broadcast on USA's Up All Night back in the day. If I'd caught it on there, I'm sure it would have been a childhood classic along with a lot of these. In any case, I'm certainly glad that I discovered it when I did, and I'm pretty sure I became aware of it just looking through Full Moon's library on fullmoondirect.com, where you can buy movies, merch, and much, much more. I'm going to let you guys in on a little B-movie science here that will help you in your movie selections in the future. When you find a movie that has a long, silly, convoluted title that's like more than 5 or 6 syllables, just buy it. It's either going to be a gem, or it's going to be an epic masterpiece of failure. This is the former and not the latter. Absolutely fell in love with this movie, so without wasting any more time, let's jump on in there and find out why. Also, in case you didn't notice from our previous segment, every review in this wave is a digitally remastered version, so we're going to talk a little bit about special features on each disc and how they look overall, since they are remastered versions of these movies. So just a little added element to this wave that I think you guys will hopefully enjoy. Here's to it. Slave Girls from Beyond Infinity was written and directed by Ken Dixon. It was produced by Don Daniel, and it stars Elizabeth Catan, Cindy Beale, Brinks Stevens, Don Scribner, and Carl Horner. It had a limited theatrical release in September of 1987 through Charles Band's Urban Classics, and it was later released on DVD in the United States by Cult Video, which was a subsidiary of Full Moon Entertainment, at some point in 1999. I believe they've since just reverted back to calling them Urban Classics. Doesn't really matter, Charles Band renames shit all the time, but you guys got the gist of it. This movie fucking rules. Essentially, it's a sexy sci-fi version of The Most Dangerous Game, which is a story that was written by Richard Connell, and it's about hunting humans, baby. Basic gist of it is, these sexy, scantily clad prison chicks, Daria and Tisa, played by Elizabeth Catan and Cindy Beale respectively, are serving life in prison on this prison barge floating through space. They end up escaping from their cell, kicking some ass, and commandeering a spaceship that they use to fly to the nearest planetoid. This planetoid has like some built-in tractor beam that ends up sucking them down for a crash landing on the planet, and they end up stranded on this island. They end up meeting Don Scribner, who plays Zed the Hunter, and he's like this highfalutin, sort of outdoorsy, rich hunter guy that has like this castle complex that he's taken over on the island, and he's got like this massive trophy room full of all these different species of aliens and whatnot that he has hunted. And it turns out he's in the business of rescuing people that crash because of this tractor beam, or this force that brings them down for these crash landings. They end up meeting Shala and Rick, played by Brinks Stevens and Carl Horner, respectively. And old Rick pretty much clues them in right away that there's something creepy about this Zed dude. They were there with 2 other people that have since disappeared. He claims they're out hunting, kinda doesn't want them leaving this castle complex, and pretty much keeps them under lock and key the entire time. And he very quickly, incorporates Daria and Tisa into this whole routine. He's got some robot-like henchmen that follow him around, and he gets really awkwardly excited, almost in a sexual way, when they ask him about his hobby of hunting. And it turns out he especially likes hunting prey that can also hunt him back, something more intelligent and crafty that can actually, give him a run for his money and add to the sporting element of it. And I'm sure you can see where the movie goes from there. He pretty quickly eliminates Rick from the picture, and he's left with just these 3 ladies that he gets pretty fucking rapey with, and then eventually releases all scantily clad into the jungle with a map that will lead them to this cache of laser weapons so they can fight back and kind of, make for a more interesting hunt. I don't want to ruin too much of the movie, but it's pretty well balanced between like a proper adaptation of The Most Dangerous Game and just fun, campy, sexy science fiction. They don't go overboard with the nudity or the sexual elements of the movie. Don't get me wrong, there is a lot of delicious tits and ass in this. Elizabeth Catan is a sight to see for sure, as are the other women. But her especially, I think if she'd done more of this kind of stuff and less erotic films, she'd probably be hailed as one of the great scream queens of the 1980s. Unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you want to look at it, that's not what happened. But they balanced that really well with like the camp and the humor and the serious, sinister element of the source material. And it really does make for a fun little hunting humans movie. The girls work together really good to try and give, Zed a run for his money. The environment that they're in is super cool. Lots of painted backgrounds. The space stuff is all handled really well with like cool miniatures and painted backgrounds as well. They built some really cool sets for the movie. We've got some robot and creature designs by John Buechler up in there, who many of you know would later go on to just be an absolute legend of special effects, but specifically where Full Moon's concerned, he went on to do the effects for shit like Demonic Toys. Not only, I believe, did he design the robot minions, but there's also this really creepy, like, mutated cyborg thing that's running around trying to abduct the girls as well, and there is some pretty cool, like, space zombie native people, I guess you could call them. I don't know, he did a bang-up job on all of it, though. There's a lot of elements in this movie that work really well and were layered pretty carefully over that source material of The Most Dangerous Game to make just an awesomely fun science fiction romp that isn't too much of any one thing. You've got the camp, you've got the humor, you've got the sexiness and the nudity and all that stuff. You've got the sinister element of the hunting humans thing, and it's all woven together sort of in perfect proportions, resulting in a movie that will absolutely be a blast to revisit many, many times in the future. Pretty fancy touch, us going widescreen there after showing that remastered footage, eh? I thought it was pretty classy. In any case, there's not too much else I can say about this fucking gem without kind of ruining it for you guys. I will, however, double down on my previous statement that I honestly do feel like if Elizabeth Catan had done more of this shit and less erotic stuff, she'd be one of the greats. Absolutely fucking blisteringly beautiful, and she brings a natural sense of humor to the role that kind of elevates it above what it is, and also helps, like, eliminate some of that awkwardness that might come from her being naked so often. Like, literally the only special feature on the disc is this awesome tribute to her that's like this montage music video style thing of her just being hilarious and fucking naked in a bunch of other movies. If she'd stuck with more of this stuff, dare I say she may have been like a better version of Linnea Quigley. Outside of that, there really isn't any other special features to be had on it outside of the original trailer, so they kind of dropped the ball where that was concerned with this one. Would have really loved some cast interviews or like a short, making of type thing with archival photos, something other than just Elizabeth Catan getting even more naked. Not that I'm complaining about that, but they could have threw in a few more goodies on there for us, I think. In any case, happy to fucking have it, happy to encourage you guys to watch it. I believe it is available on Tubi, as well as, of course, the Full Moon streaming service. So get out there and check it out today. As always, I have been Mosley. You have been a bunch of sexy fucking beasts. And this has been yet another episode of that Full Moon Madness, baby. Cheers. Thanks for watching.
The world of Full Moon lives online at fullmoondirect.com. Classics like Puppet Master, Demonic Toys, Subspecies, and more recent favorites Ginger Dead Man, Evil Bong, Killjoy, and more can be found at fullmoondirect.com on DVD, Blu-ray, limited edition box sets, replicas, toys, shirts, and more. Only available at fullmoondirect.com.